Welcome everybody to MWC Barcelona 2025. My name is Aniel Jhingoeri, and I want to thank you for joining us today for this fireside chat at the Radisys booth. We have a very interesting topic today. We will talk about, and the title is a little bit cryptic, Unlocking the Future. But I promise you, if you stay till the end, it will perfectly make sense. We will explain what it means and what the relevance of that is, because we will talk about the partnership between Telefonica and Radisys and the introduction of open broadband and how open and disaggregated networks is being introduced in the journey, and most importantly, how this journey has laid the foundation for introducing new innovation and opening new opportunities for both companies. So we have a impressive panelists here today, two of them, some industry experts. Let me introduce. We have Daniel Cortés. Daniel is the fixed access network manager from Telefonica, from the global CTIO team. Daniel, maybe, first of all, a warm welcome to you and many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And Daniel, maybe a couple of words about yourself and your background.
Yeah, sure. I'm Fixed Access Network Manager in Telefonica in the Global Networks and Systems area. So we are responsible for defining the planning and technology in Telefonica for the whole group. This regarding or specifically more related to FTTH deployments and the network evolution for XGS-PON, 50G-PON, and all the softwareization of the network. I've been in Telefonica for 13 years already, and I expect to be a lot of more here. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. And of course, we have Rajesh Chundury, who's our Vice President Customer Solutions at Radisys. Raj, thanks for joining. And please share a little bit about yourself as well.
Thank you, Aniel. Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Rajesh Chundury, go by Raj. And I've been with Radisys for about 5 years, and I'm responsible for customer solutions and product management for parts of the broadband access portfolio. And prior to that, I've spent 23 years with Ericsson. Today we're going to talk about our journey with Telefonica.
Thanks, Raj. So yeah, let's get started. My first question is for you, Daniel. So Telefonica has been an established global broadband player for many years. And what role does the Telefonica fixed network play in driving innovation?
Well, first of all, Telefonica Network has been started the deployment in 2018. So it's been almost already 20 years for the deployment of FTTH networks. So as you can imagine, it's a very mature market. We have already passed more than 85 million home passed with fiber, and we have connected more than 18 million customers. So as you can imagine, we have been doing this with the traditional architecture that we had in the past with our traditional partners. So it has been good and it has been fine for us and worked very well for us. In the traditional ecosystem, in the traditional services of triple services, internet, voice over IP, IPTV. However, this ecosystem is a bit limited, okay, because we have hardware and software provided by the same partner. Every time we need to develop a new service, we have to rely on what they are delivering. And we don't have the control of our technological roadmap. We don't have the control of what we want to deploy. And right now we are entering in a new environment where all the services are demanded of our customers on real time, a lot of flexibility, new services all the time. So that's why we need to change our architecture to really take the most out of it. So we really need to change the architecture of the fixed access network so we can adapt for our customer needs. And this is why we started the program, the Open Broadband program, where we try or where we are already softwareizing the network, disaggregating the software and the hardware of the OLTs, and creating this new environment and this new architecture.
Perfect. So what specific objectives does Telefonica aim to achieve with the introduction of an open and disaggregated network?
The Open Broadband consists of two parts. There's the OLT part, where we are improving and enhancing our vendor map through this software disaggregation, because we can have new innovative partners and new innovative players, so we can get new services and new applications on top of our fiber network. So on the one hand, we enlarge our ecosystem so we don't have problems with business continuity and we have a more diverse supply chain, but also we improve it through this new series of innovative players. That's one part. On the other part, what we are changing, as I was saying, is the architecture, the architecture of the fixed access. It is what we are already changing compared to what we have with the traditional vendors. We used to work in a closed environment where the OLT and the management systems were proprietary from our vendors, and we needed to make proprietary interfaces and proprietary developments for our systems and for our services whenever we need something. With this new architecture, what we are going to make and what we are achieving is to introduce an abstraction layer for these OLTs, for this network, so we can really have network programmability. We can really automate functions. We can really introduce new services on top of that as software modules instead of vendor proprietary solutions. So combining those two, what we really is our main or final target is to introduce innovation, to introduce these new partners so we can really deliver new services to our customers. For example, right now we are working in a couple of initiatives based on AI. One is regarding the anomaly detection for the network, which I've seen you already have it here, or you are also working on that. And also with automatic traffic flow classification. So we are working on detecting the patterns of the service our customer has, for example, a video call, video conference, gaming, whatever. So we can automatically prioritize, make low bandwidth for them and higher capability. So the final customer experience for these kind of services should be, well, almost perfect or perfect. So in the end, this is the main and final target, to have this innovation for our customers and improve their customer experience.
Very nice. Thanks, Aniel. So Raj, next question for you. Radisys has been in the forefront of open broadband with its open and disaggregated network solutions from the very early days. Can you share a little bit about that journey?
Absolutely. Thank you, Aniel. As Daniel explained, there are some fundamental reasons for why a lot of the operators have decided to kind of start this journey sometime around 2018 timeframe. Daniel, what do you say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. So in the last 6 years, 6 plus 8 or 8 years or so, what we have seen is a community effort driven by Telefonica, AT&T, Deutsche Telekom, and vendors like Radisys and a few others come together in a body called ONF, Open Networking Foundation, and really started to work towards the disaggregation of the PON controller from the OLT into a separate entity. Fast forward now about 4 or 5 years, the controller has been built as an open source controller from developers from all the operators and the vendors. And now we have what we call as a functional virtual OLT system with Volta software. And when we brought that to Telefonica and to our parent company Jio, they were truly excited in being able to see that, yes, we now have a software stack that is disaggregated from the hardware stack. And now the question is, how do we operationalize this? In the operationalization process, we learned very quickly that it is fundamentally important to make sure that a lot of this new technology works very similarly to the old technology, with the existing technology that you currently have. So we took the controller, made it more performant, and made it more able to run in a smaller resources, put it right back on the OLT, so it looks, feels, and runs like a traditional OLT, right? So the journey has been, we started off with the disaggregation. It works very well, but in order to get performance and scale, we have to put the controller back on the OLT, and then there's a journey that's going to come after this as well, right? But this is the journey so far, Aniel.
Perfect. Thanks, Raj. Daniel, I'm sure many service providers around the globe are looking at Telefonica as the leader for introducing open broadband. Can you explain us a little bit about your experience and that journey?
Yeah, sure. It has been a very long journey indeed, as Raj said. We started in 2018 with our first RFI of OLT disaggregation. At that time, it was only focused on the OLT, and we started receiving answers from all the market. It was really hard to find a solution that fitted well into our requirements and into what we need for our services and the network. We had to develop jointly together and with a lot of effort, especially with Radisys, and I thank a lot the effort you have been doing throughout these years, because from the very first solutions in the market, even to the first solution that we saw and tested with Radisys to what we have today, has nothing to do in terms of scale, performance, capability. So it has been a very long journey to make this and to get this solution, let me say, up and running or ready for getting into the field and into our operation. That was the first step. But later we needed to introduce in our OBs, as you know, we are working hard to introduce this solution in Brazil. We started focusing on Brazil because had the perfect scenario or the perfect match to do this. First of all, because it is a huge country, we still have a lot of deployment of fiber to do, so that means a lot of greenfield deployment for introducing a new solution. So in that sense, that helps a lot to introduce a new solution. However, we are in the middle, or besides, we are in the middle of a network and system transformation in Brazil, which is fine on one side because, of course, we are going to have a new architecture, a new solution, a new provider in the end. So it makes sense to introduce with the latest system and the future systems that we want to have in our network. But this also has or introduces a challenge, because whenever we started this process, all the systems that we are deploying now, they weren't existent. So we needed to encompass the deployment and the development of these systems with the functionality and with integration of the OLT. That at first caused us several, as we said, challenges also with the teams, different projects with different priorities, different people. So it's hard to coordinate all that whenever we are introducing a new solution, because you needed to work on the legacy systems in the legacy network architecture, plus all the new feature and functionality of the future for our software and systems. However, with a lot of work and again effort from Agile together with Radisys, we are already seeing the light of the tunnel. We are already at the end of this process. We expect to start our FOA, which is our field test for authorization in plant for commercial deployment. That will be happening in June this year. So we are already there.
Hopefully earlier.
Hopefully earlier. and hopefully, if nothing wrong happens, that I'm sure it won't, we will be starting our commercial fully massive deployment in the second half of this year. So as I was saying, we are already there. It has been a very long journey, but finally I think we are almost or already there.
Thanks. So this has been a very collaborative effort from all of us. Raj, a question for you. We've been partnering with Telefonica for now, almost over 5 years?
5 years, yes,
right?
indeed, yeah.
And making great progress, especially in this open and disaggregated networking space. What are some of the joint learnings?
I think Daniel sort of highlighted them very well, right? The joint learnings were, okay, you've got a functional stack. How do you now operationalize this? As Daniel mentioned, there are lots of Telefonica specific feature functionality that had to be implemented, for example, right? How do you now bring that, and how do you make sure that this new box that is based on merchant silicon hardware and open source software or open interfaces, all of this goodness is great, but how do you now bring it in to a network that is already providing services, operating millions of subscribers, and introduce it without any disruption? So that required, as Daniel again said, 2 key things. One was the interoperability of our OLT with the existing network elements within the Telefonica network. And number 2, interoperability of our OLTs with the existing ONTs that Telefonica has deployed across the country, in Brazil, for example, right? So that was a key task. And that took us a while, but we got it done very quickly thanks to the software architecture. The second big one was integration with the OSS BSS stack. Vivo, Brazil, Telefonica, they have an existing stack, and they are now going to a brand new OSS stack as well. We were asked to introduce for some aspects with the old OSS stack and with some aspect into the new OSS stack. And that was the second learning that we did. That once you get past the interoperability and the integration with OSS BSS, it is now a matter of deploying it and scaling it. And we have already run a friendly user trial today, and it has been fantastic when it comes to the performance, on par with the existing network elements.
So Raj, I'm staying with you for a while now. So, we spoke about the background, the journey. What about the future of the open broadband ecosystem?
Good question, Aniel. Now you're asking me to look into the crystal ball here. But I'm sure I'm going to get some help from Daniel here and looking ahead together. I think the ability to offer a common set of services to all customers, irrespective of where they are, whether they are residential customers, business customers, common set of services, ubiquitously, over a multi-access architecture, wherein you use fiber for access, or fixed wireless for access, or you use fiber for backhaul, or fixed wireless for backhaul. Meaning, these technologies will be used to help and support each other, have a multi-access network, or a common set of services, and these services can then be quickly, or new services can be brought in quickly and delivered on demand, for example. To me, those are some of the key objectives of what the operators want to achieve and what I see coming next.
Daniel, my last question is for you. So, how do you envision Telefónica's network transformation in the coming years, especially when it comes to management and control, and how does the open architecture fit into this vision?
We are already working in 4 streams for the future network that should be coming in the next years. First of all, it's the PON technology. The PON technology, as we consider as business as usual, we are right now deploying multi-technology OLTs, which has the ability of delivering GPON and XGS-PON services over the same fiber. What we are already working is in the first prototype samples in our lab for 50 GPON technology. So if you ask me about the coming years, what I am expecting to achieve is 50 GPON deployments, coexisting with GPON and XGS-PON over the same line, with customers all with the 3 technologies on top of that. That part, it's the PON technology. Another part, it's the vendor map through the Open Broadband program. As we have commented, you are already entering, finalizing the certifications, homologations, and so on.
Yep.
So if we think about the coming years, what we expect is that you will be a fully integrated supplier or partner in the whole ecosystem of the group. So we shouldn't be talking about a new deployment, new greenfield, or new partner. It should be a partner in the whole ecosystem of Telefónica in the coming years, fully integrated with our services, our network, and also delivering new capabilities for the network and for our customers. The other part, as also Raj mentioned, and we are very focused on that, is the SDN controller and the evolution of how we control and abstract the network. Right now, we still work with managing systems for the OLTs. However, what we expect and what we are working for is to have an SDN controller that is able to abstract all network capabilities, regardless the technology, if it's GPON, XGS, or 50 GPON, regardless the kind of access, regardless the supplier, regardless the hardware that we will have there. So in the end, we will have an abstraction layer. So on top, our systems will be an open interface and only one interface. So whenever we develop a new service, a new integration with whoever or which new piece of software that we want to introduce in a new module, always is going to be a single development, a single integration, and it will help also to enlarge our ecosystem with new partners for these specific software parts or software modules. And why all these 3? For the latest 4th, which is in the end the key of everything, which is our customers. So we have to deliver use cases, we have to deliver new services to our customers, because right now there are many new features on real-time, on-demand, low latency, high capacity that we are going to deploy and deliver to our customers. And as we were saying before, also new services based on AI. So this new ecosystem and this whole technology, vendors, and software-defined network should be pointing to that. So in summary, the final stage, the final idea, it's all those four parts working together in a multi-vendor ecosystem with open interfaces, where whenever we develop something from one supplier could work in the whole footprint and whichever the technology is below. So in the end, it's like the final abstracted network for the service for our customers and for the delivery of new services.
Very cool. Looks like we're not done yet. We're just getting started. Eh?
I think so.
Thanks, Daniel. Are you guys okay to take some questions from the audience?
Sure.
Yeah?
Hey, Daniel. I have a question. Telefonica being like a leader on the transformation and the disaggregated and open architecture, how you see this architecture in a couple of years and how you see this adoption with the other service providers, taking Telefonica as an example?
Thank you. Good question. In fact, all the things that we are proposing and that we are working, of course, requires a lot of effort from us, from Radisys, from our partners, from everyone. But our idea is a jointly vision for the whole industry and for the whole ISPs and for the whole networks. In the end, we have other initiatives like Open Gateway that we are working with other service providers. And this is what we also expect with this, because we need open interfaces. We cannot define open interfaces only by ourselves. We need the industry, the other operators, and the other suppliers and partners to work with us on that. We need new services. Again, we cannot develop new services only on our own. We also need the help from you and from the whole industry. So in the end, it is a joint effort that I take advantage of your question to request the whole industry that we work together on that front and we can develop these new cases and help the ecosystem to grow in that sense.
There's a question for Raj. So Raj, you alluded to open interfaces which have helped integration upwards with OSS, BSS as well as with ONTs. Could you throw some light on how it has really helped in interop with ONTs? How many ONTs have you been able to interop with? How has that journey been?
Thank you for the question. That's a very, very important question. As Daniel mentioned, and I'll pass the mic back to him as well, ensuring that there's no vendor lock-in, if I may. The ability for the operators to be able to use what they already have in the network, in their ecosystem, when they introduce a new network element is key, as you've outlined. For Telefonica alone, I think we have done close to 15 plus different SKUs of ONTs that they have developed and designed for their own network across Brazil. And as a vendor in this space, we have now interoperated with about 100 different ONTs and SKUs, or variants of ONTs across the board. So this is a very big aspect of how these solutions that we have developed, software-driven, disaggregated, virtualized, merchant silicon-based solutions, can actually unlock the value of the existing infrastructure that the operators have. Daniel, would you like to add anything else here?
Yes, because we already had interoperability with our ONTs and OLTs, because we are, or we have been developing our own CPEs and ONTs from many years. At the very beginning, it wasn't like that. And although we were working in a traditional environment and a traditional architecture, we were able to open this OMCI interface, so we could really interpret the OLTs from our traditional partners with our own CPEs and ONT devices. The main difference from the operator, from our point of view, is that whenever we needed to do that, and when we started that process, it took months, if not more than a year, to get that interoperability with these ONTs and CPEs. When we introduced this new software architecture and this new environment, it took weeks or a couple of months, but the time scale was reduced a lot. So, of course, you can get interoperability with both architectures, but the difference on the timing and how we got it it's a big difference, as you can see.
But I thought maybe we can just spend a couple of minutes on sort of what we see when it comes to this new interest in AI, for example, right? Daniel touched upon it already. And something I want to talk about here today is that generative AI has been a key part of being able to bring these technologies much closer for operationalization. As Daniel and I talked about earlier, right? It is very easy to get the functional stuff stack working. It's difficult, but it can be done. Question then is, how do you operationalize it? How do you scale it? How do you deploy it? How do you make hundreds, if not thousands of the engineers, network engineers and technicians come use these systems and learn these systems? Generative AI has been a key aspect, and today we are demonstrating here at MWC the ability to use Gen AI to be able to learn how to use the system in a very transactional, conversational manner, right? I think that's going to be a key. And as Daniel pointed out, the ability to look at network data and predict what is coming and being able to then suggest or recommend what the operators can do now in order to avoid a network outage is the next aspect of the AI and ML track that we expect to bring here soon as well. Daniel, anything else you want to add on this one?
Yeah. We're always thinking on use cases or if you may, pain points of our network. And we know that we need to improve, for example, in the detection of anomalies or failures in, for example, our external plant, because in the active elements of LTNT, it is active, you have alarms, you have something to work with. But for example, the external plant, it's passive, you don't. You need something that helps you there. And for example, that's one of the use cases that we believe AI is going to help us. The same as I was saying before, as the traffic classification on real time, so later you can provide real or on-demand real-time bandwidth, latency, and so on for our customers. There are many things that we can think as operators that we need and we want for our customers, but again, we need the help and the support of the industry, of our partners, to really develop those use cases and to really put it on top of our architecture and solutions. So we can really take advantage of the fiber network that we are deploying, and with the help of you and the rest of the industry, really take advantage of that and really exploit our capabilities in the network.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, everybody. And I love the end statement. You gave some actions back to us and the industry and the ecosystem. So
Some
the call
homework.
to action. Thanks,
Some
Daniel.
homework.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for joining today.
Thank you very much.